Hey everybody, we are here live in my office at home, and I wanted to take opportunity to help you guys out and ask or answer any questions that you may have. Now, I'm not sure if this is something that you guys are looking for, that you guys want, but I wanted to once again offer you guys something that I offer to my patients. My patients basically from 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Friday, they have the ability to ask me any questions. They can email me, text me, call me. And so I thought I would open it up to you guys to let you know that I'm here to answer any and all questions that you may have. So feel free to put any questions in the comment boxes there, and ask me anything that you may have, anything under the sun, whether it comes to Qigong or fitness or wellness, health, nutrition, whatever the case may be. I'm here to answer any questions. But what I thought is that I was going to talk a little bit about what creates, what fosters, what enables us to be healthy and to be well. We have a question here. What does Qigong help to heal the body? Or how does Qigong help to heal the body? Well, I can answer that really simply. Um, for our body to heal, we need to be in a parasympathetic state. So what that means is that our body has two autonomic states. One would be sympathetic or fight or flight, and one would be parasympathetic or rest, digest, heal. And the fact is that most of us, although we should be 95% of the time in a parasympathetic state where our body can heal itself, most of us are actually in a sympathetic state. And this doesn't allow our body to heal. And there are many methods that we can use to shift ourselves back into that parasympathetic state. Qigong being one of them, yoga, meditation, hiking, acupuncture, acupressure. Anything that is meditative and that connects you to the moment has the ability to switch you back into that parasympathetic state. And the reason I'm so passionate about Qigong is because I've done meditation for decades, and I've taught meditation for many, many years, seated meditation, that is. And not for nothing, but the last thing we need these days is to sit more often. We sit too much and we think too much. And the reality is we need to move more and think less. So this is where Qigong becomes an actually incredible activity to get involved in. And it is basically soft, flowing calisthenic or body weight movements that are designed to heal the body and to stimulate the acupuncture meridians that run through the tissue. And it's quite a neat thing. And this is, if you look at the programs that I've created on this channel, I'm constantly looking to create new and innovative ways to stimulate the acupuncture meridians. And because I have a background both in Eastern and Western medicine, for me to create programs that specifically stimulate different meridians is quite simple. All we have to know is a few things. So one, we have to know where the meridian travels. So for example, we could talk about the lung meridian, which travels basically from the chest up through the shoulder, down the outside of the bicep, down the forearm, down to the thumb and first finger. And by knowing where the meridian runs, then if we also understand the musculature, so what muscles run and how they affect and act on the body, then we can look at what physical movements would stimulate the muscle, stimulate the fascia, stimulate the tissue that meridian runs through. And therefore, we can actually get really creative and have some fun and constantly create new programs that stimulate the muscle and stimulate the tissue. And what's going to be happening in January, I'm actually creating an entire 30-day program for people. And it's going to be a 30-day challenge that we're actually going to be talking about to the bigger audience at the end of the month. But I'm basically going to teach you guys how to create your own Qigong program. And we're going to do it a little bit at a time, 15-minute kind of programs each day. And we're going to teach you all the different aspects that go into creating a Qigong program, from flexibility work to mobility and range of motion, to strength building, to actual energetic stimulation through the meridians, We'll be tackling internal conditions. We'll be tackling emotional conditions. And all of these different facets can be put into a Qigong program. And we're actually going to be teaching you how to put that all together for yourself. So, as always, I love that you guys follow my programs, and I hope you continue to follow my programs. But I also want to give you the power to be able to create something for yourself. So, no matter where you are, you'll have the ability to create something for yourself. And so you'll be able to basically sew together and stitch together a bunch of different exercises or a bunch of different facets after you've kind of just taken a moment to say, well, how do I feel today? I got a little bit of neck pain. I got a little bit of shoulder pain. Oh, my digestion's not working. I feel some shortness of breath, and I can't fall asleep. And with those all those symptoms, you can then say, well, I need a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and you'll be able to actually create your own program and do a little bit of self healing. So, the thing about Qigong is that as a moving meditation, it is exactly that. We use the breath to connect our mind to the present moment. And then we coordinate that breath with specific movements. So we use the breath and the specific calisthenic movements as crutches or as anchors to keep our mind connected to the moment. So the movements are not just calisthenic exercise, but they're actually moving meditation. And as you probably know, that anytime you've been lost in any activity, whether you were mm, riding a bike, you were swimming, you were knitting, you were coloring, anything you get lost in becomes meditation. And if you can get lost in something physically that is also stimulating the movement of lymph around the body, the stimulation of blood and oxygen to move around the body, stimulating osteoblastic or bone creation activity through stressing the muscle tissue in the bone, then you can actually facilitate healing on multiple levels. So there really is nothing like it. Whether you looked at a yoga program, whether you looked at a weight training program or running, there really is nothing that sort of checks every box when it comes to being able to heal the body, both on a mental level, on an emotional level, and on a physical level. Qigong really is a standalone program, and that's why it's stood the test of time, thousands of years, and over 3,600 different styles of Qigong. And as you know, most people are familiar with Tai Chi. Tai Chi being one style of Qigong, but absolutely thousands of different styles out there, all looking to do the same thing, looking to connect the mind to the breath, looking to connect the breath in a coordinated fashion with the body, and all of that to settle the body back into that switching that autonomic nervous system back to that parasympathetic state. So, when it comes to healing, with Qigong, you could use it daily, you could use it weekly. There really is no hard and fast rule. How often can I do Qigong? You can do it every day, 5 times a day if you wanted to. Or you could do it once a week if you needed to. And the reality is it's there for you whenever you need. So you can really use it as much or as little as you like, but the more you do it, the better, right? So the more you stay connected to the moment, the more you move with your breath in a unified fashion, the greater that healing becomes in your body. And what's neat about Qigong is that because you're doing dynamic movement and you're moving in planes that you're not used to moving in, you challenge the brain to change, what's called neuroplasticity. This has an effect at rewiring it, firing and wiring the different axons and neurons in your brain to create new neural pathways and strengthen the brain. It is literally brain gym. So just the action of doing something new and different that you have to focus on has such incredible change and promotes such incredible change on the body. So it's really something that you can play with, and that's where at the highest levels of qigong. And yes, we want to learn movements first. The hand goes this way, we breathe. The hand goes this way, we breathe. But at the highest level, it's just about playing. It's about connecting to chi and moving and feeling and allowing yourself to get lost in the moment. And it can become this really beautiful expression of both physicality and of meditation. So Um, there really are no limits to how it can help to heal the body, and I'm such a huge fan. I was exposed to it many years ago, and I've been really lucky to train with some incredible masters from around the world, and been able to pick their brains and sample. And I stand on on the shoulders of some incredible teachers, and I'm so blessed to be able to been able to learn from all them. But so now it's my turn to try to promote and motivate people to move their bodies and to quiet their mind, and find that connection. When we look at the pillars, as I call them, the pillars of health, the things that make us keep us healthy, movement is such a huge proponent of that. And as I said, because we sit so much and we move so little, oh, we go to the gym 3 times a week. This we're supposed to be active every single day. We need to move. Our body, our immune system, our lymph doesn't have a pump like our heart. It has to have the milking of muscle. We have to move muscle tissue to move lymph around our body, to move white blood cell around our body. And if not, we become sick and we find it very challenging to heal. So, we are in bed for a couple of weeks or even a week or even a few days, and it's amazing how different the physical body feels because we haven't moved that lymph. So movement is so key. And as the five different pillars of health, it is one that I stress so much with people. To Walking is wonderful. It really is. And when I ask patients all the time, I say, do you exercise? And they say, well, I walk. And listen, this is better than nothing, really. But it's a small range of motion. It's a repetitive movement, the same repetitive pathway, and it's not challenging your body in any dramatic way. So it doesn't really affect dramatic change. And if we want to see big changes in our body and our life and our fitness, we have to make big changes. So when it comes to doing something dynamic and different, it's the difference of walking down the street or going for a hike in nature, where there's an uneven plane and there's changes in topography and it's challenging your balance, and all these things make for a very different walk versus just walking on a flat plane, around the block. Once again, not that a walking going for a walk is not a bad thing, but once again, challenging our body to do something new that it hasn't done, makes change in us in ways that are much more than just the physical. Oh, I hear Buddy crying. He wants to come in and make an appearance. Hold on, let me grab him. Yes, sir. Yes. Oh, my boy. Come on in. Come on in. Always has to make an appearance. Come on. Come on up. Where's my boy? Where's my boy? Come on up here. So if we're looking at the physical, yes, my friend. Come on. Come on. Come say hello. Hello to everybody. Say hi to everybody. Hello. I need you to make an appearance. Yes. This guy's too much. Here, hop up here. The thing is that if we're going to be physical, we have to make sure that we're feeding and fueling our body properly. And that's where what we eat becomes so important. And once again, what we eat can either shift us from a sympathetic or parasympathetic state. So much of our food is actually toxic, especially here in North America. We eat a lot of things that are filled with chemicals. I always talk with my patients about the big five inflammatories. Those would be wheat, dairy, corn, soy, and processed sugar. And these five key inflammatories, I promote removing these things from the diet as much as possible, if not 100% out of the diet. And it makes dramatic change in lowering the toxic load in the body and allowing to shift back into that parasympathetic state. And when we're trying to heal from anything, if we're on a constant basis, on a regular basis, putting in toxic chemicals into our body, yeah, our body gets stuck in that fight or flight. Because system-wide inflammation or body-wide inflammation is a result of digestive inflammation, of changes in the bacterial complement within the digestive tract. And that is a transient thing. And you may have heard of microbiome or the gut biome, or the brain-gut connection and the enteric nervous system. The gut is such an incredibly complex apparatus that our health is completely reliant on, and it's really the first and most important pillar of all the pillars of health and fitness. If we are eating toxic foods, we are toxic. There's no getting around it. There's an old Indian proverb that said, if diet is correct, medicine is of no need. But if diet is incorrect, medicine is of no use. So we can't get around the whole fact that we are what we eat. And if we're putting in toxins all the time, we're going to be toxic all the time. And then healing is compromised always. And this is a challenge because listen, pizza tastes good, burgers taste good, French fries taste good. But the fact is that if we're eating that stuff on a regular basis, the toxicity level in our body is high. And here's the interesting thing. Because it's about 3 days, anywhere from 12 to 36 hours from top to bottom. And it takes 10 days for inflammation to come down. So a lot of time people will say, well, I only have a little bit of wheat and I have a little bit of dairy and I have a little bit of corn. And the fact is, if you're having just a little bit of those things all the time, you're inflamed all the time. And there's just not enough time for the body to bring that inflammation down to actually achieve a healing state. So we're just always in that constant toxic, constant sympathetic stimulation in the body. So cutting things down doesn't make change. It actually has to be removed, and not forever, but really for at least 2 weeks, but really for at least 30 days typically. Now, the neat thing is that when it comes to our digestive tract, we are literally rebuilding and remodeling the digestive tract 100% of all those billions of cells. Every 4 months, we really have a completely new digestive tract. So it doesn't matter how bad or how dysfunctional, how much bloating, gurgling, loose stool, lack of appetite, constipation, diarrhea, any of those things that you may have, um, really you can fix it within 4 months. But once again, it's an all or none kind of thing. It may take you 30 days and you check. It may take you 90, 60 days, 90 days, or 120 days. But the fact is, if you're going to maintain it for at least 30 days, you're going to make monumental change in your body at the cellular level by reducing that inflammation, by increasing the absorptions of nutrients in your body. So I can't stress enough how important it is to be changing the food and removing those inflammatories that we eat. I mean, we could talk forever on the additives, on the pesticides that we spray, something specific like glyphosate that's sprayed on our wheat, corn, and soy. And this is a whole topic unto itself. The antibiotic, the trademark biocide that we spray on our food here, and that is really, really harming us in many, many, many different ways. And because it's a funny thing. We kind of have good bacteria, commensate symbiotic bacteria, and then we have invasive bacteria. And so a really interesting distinction between the two, whereas the good bacteria grows really slowly and gets killed very easily by antibiotic, whereas bad bacteria grows really quick and is resistant to getting killed off by antibiotics. So when we're eating these things on a regular basis, it's just we kill off the good and we let the bad grow, and then everything starts to get messed up. So when it comes to food, if we're trying to become healthy and we're trying to do a program and trying to make change in our life, if we're looking where to start, where do I start if I want to be healthy, if I want to feel vital and allow my chi to flow, then we start with what building blocks do we put in to move the machine that we want to move. And that comes with the food we eat and the water we drink. Here in Toronto, we have almost 7 times the toxic limit for chlorine in our water, and it's very important to have chlorine to clean out all the parasites and bacteria and whatnot. But unfortunately, it also is highly inflammatory and highly toxic substance. But then again, we can do things like a Brita water filter, really simple, a reverse osmosis filter. There's lots of things that we can have, and a simple mineral water filter is enough to remove a lot of the toxins that harm our body. But what people often forget about is actually the water we bathe in, our shower. Our shower, we actually take in 100 times more chlorine in the water we bathe in versus the water we drink, because we actually breathe it in, goes right into the bloodstream and into the body. So it doesn't have to actually be filtered out and processed and digested by the stomach. So we actually absorb so much more toxins just in the shower. And if you have a nice hot long shower, you're taking in even more. So starting with the food we eat and the water we drink, we want to try to once again lower toxic load, lower the chemicals coming in, lower the stimulation of sympathetic stimulation on our autonomic nervous system, and allow ourselves to stay in that parasympathetic or healing state. So if we look at the food we eat, if we look at the way we move, next we want to also think about especially when it comes to Qigong, is how we breathe. And most of us breathe with what's called a shallow tidal breath. It's about one third our oxygen capacity. So we breathe in And we're using accessory muscles. We're using scalene muscles. We're using intercostal muscles, levator scapula, instead of using our diaphragm. And so the one of the most important things about breathing is to oxygenate our body, yes, and to keep us slightly on the alkaline side, where oxygen is slightly alkaline and carbon dioxide is slightly acidic. And when we breathe with the typical shallow breath that most people breathe with, we become slightly, we have a slight buildup of carbon dioxide in the body, which creates an acidic environment. An acidic environment is an inflammatory environment, and this is an environment where we're stressed, and once again, in that sympathetic state. So just simply how we breathe, having that long, slow, deep, even breath is a very, very quick way to switch us back into that parasympathetic state. Now, you combine that with some non-toxic food and some nice clean water, and then of course some gentle movement. And now we've started to create a behavioral pattern that is keeping us in that parasympathetic state, that it's mitigating any of the stresses that we can't avoid. We can't not go to work. We can't not be in traffic. There are things that we have to sort of survive in our day, but there are things that we have some control over that we can modify and adapt and change. And not for everyone, for sure. I get that. Absolutely not everyone has the privilege. I realize I am extremely privileged to live in Canada here, have access to the amazing things that I can, especially here in Toronto. But that doesn't mean it's still work. And then when you look at the last two sides of the sort of all the pillars, we look at how we think and how we feel. And both of these have an amazing effect, once again, either of keeping us in the moment. Are we connected to our breath and connected to the moment, enjoying the peace and quiet that there is in the moment? Or is our mind trapped in the past, emotionally stimulated, angry, irritable, stressed about things that have already happened that we can't change, that we want to be able to change, that we're angry that they happened in the way they happened, constantly dragging this backpack of pain through life? Or on the opposite side, are we always in the future, worried, pensive, hamster on the wheel, can't shut it off, always reeling in tomorrow in things that have never happened or haven't happened yet? But either way, when you look at it, whether it was yesterday or tomorrow, these aren't reality, right? The only thing that is real is right now. The only thing we can change is what we do today. I'm a big proponent of saying, what can we do today to create the tomorrow we want? Not that we have to complete control over that, but all we have is today. So, and that's where meditative aspects like Qigong go a long way to help reconnect us to the moment. So we're not spiraling in the future, or we're not, be dragged down in the past with all that emotional baggage. And it's not about nihilism. It's not about not caring. It's not about just being numb and being a robot. It's about realizing that stuff happens and allowing it to move through you and coming back to the moment. When you get upset, when you get angry, when you think about something for a moment, and then it's about taking a second, connecting back to your breath, connecting back to your body, connecting back to the moment, and letting that stuff move through you. It's always better to scream and shout and cry and let it out versus keeping it all in and trapping it inside your body and changing the vibrational frequency of your body. It's what makes us sick. It's what makes us vibrate with outside of our normal parameters. Remember, this stuff we call matter is just energy vibrating at a particular frequency. And it's that frequency that gives it its physiological and physical characteristics. And when it doesn't vibrate the way it's supposed to vibrate, we call it a lot of things. We call it sick or cancer or Alzheimer's or bad breath or eczema. We call it a million different disease names. It's just matter not vibrating the way it should, energy not moving the way it should. And a lot of time from a Western perspective, we kind of look at energetic stuff as kind of hokey pokey, even though it's the whole basis of quantum mechanics. But we do know that all matter is just energy vibrating at a certain frequency. So what I hope that is in the programs that you do with me and the time that you spend with me is that you learn to connect your mind to the breath and your breath to your body and everything to the moment, to reharmonize and retune your energy. to connect it to a place where it's moving smoothly. They say that chi should move smoothly like the roots and branches of a tree. It shouldn't move too quickly. It shouldn't move too slowly. It shouldn't move too radically, but it should move nice and smoothly. And that's where Qigong is powerful. It is powerful medicine. It's medicine to heal your mind, to heal your heart, to heal your body. So, as I said, I wanted to just touch on a few things today, and so this Q&A, was something that I thought we're going to test out and try out and see if people are interested and see if people have questions for me. And so I know that there was quite a few people had messaged me to saying that they weren't available tonight, which is totally okay because you guys have access to this all the time. And you can always send me in questions, and we'll do it again next month. And if you have questions, like I said, I am always here to help. But remember what we talked about tonight, the 5 pillars of health. So it would be the way you eat, the way you breathe, the way you move, the way you think, and the way you feel. And all of these are either going to be toxic or tonic. All of these are either going to push you into a sympathetic fight or flight state, or they're going to connect you back to rest, digest, heal, and that parasympathetic nervous system state. All you got to do is give it a try, guys. Anyways, thank you so much, guys. I hope you enjoy this. Those who get to check this out a little bit later. Of course, we always have our first Saturday of the month for our live Qigong class. Keep an eye out. I'm going to be starting to promote and talk about the 30-day challenge that we're going to be starting in January. We're going to do 15 minutes every single day for 28 days. And on the last 2 days, I'll be teaching you how to stitch it all together for a nice full workout and give you a few different examples of how to stitch it all together and create your own Qigong programs. Thanks so much, guys. I appreciate you coming out. And I'm always here anytime. Ask me any questions. I'm always here to take care of you guys. Thanks.